he was also writing all the time. He wrote both essays in Yiddish. He wrote mainly in Yiddish, although he wrote some Hebrew too. But he wrote Yiddish essays, he wrote Yiddish poetry. He was published in the Yiddish Atog. I have clippings at home from when he published in the what was called Atog at that time. In the Yiddish HaKempfel, in the Cheshbon magazine, whoever would publish his stuff. He had great ambitions to have his stuff published, his material published in book form. But life has a way of not working out exactly the way you wanted to because of other things. And he never was able to get himself in that arena. He thought about self-publishing, as many Yiddish writers did. A lot of self-publishing went on. But he never, he was always consumed with either making a living, supporting me and my mother, although my mother was a Yiddish teacher too, but that's a whole other Geschichte. But, and then he suffered with some physical ailments that limited him. So given that, there's a lot of manuscripts that have remained behind that were never published.
What were the main subjects of your father's writing?
Ooh,
Were there certain themes that came through?
Oh, good. Well, he did some major writing about his experiences during World War I. A whole series, he called it a cycle of poetry related to his experiences working in a forced labor battalion, and thereby hang many interesting stories, not the least of which is that he used to talk about how the German soldiers at that time were nothing like what the world experienced in World War II. And, but nevertheless, it was forced labor, and it was not cushy living, but they survived. But they had to work very hard, and he was very young. He wrote about that. He wrote poems about children that were good for children. He wrote poems about life in general. As he got older, poems about facing death, dealing with illness, poems with a theme of just observing the world around him. He incidentally wrote some beautiful short stories, very short stories that reflected what we call today blogging. He blogged in Yiddish on paper, if there is such a thing. There is. I mean, blogs, you know, the internet didn't discover everything. Blogging existed before.